Welcome into another Supercharged Life episode. And I just want to say before we start as well, thank you to every single person that is listening and following this series, because the messages that I get are insane. And you know what? I say this often and I feel like I repeat myself, but it's because it always happens. But the messages I get from people are they're truly inspirational to know that you are changing your life from the things that I'm bringing to the table, because I'm sure the things that I'm saying are nothing new in any way that you haven't ever thought about them. But it's, the feedback I get is the fact that I've been through the trenches with this stuff. I'm explaining it to people, and actually they're realizing, shit, I can do that as well, and it's in reach. So look, I mean when I say thank you to every single person that is following this journey and implementing things, because if I can help you change your life for free, because this is literally a podcast that you're listening to or watching if you're on YouTube, if I can do that, such a simple format, and help change lives, that makes me feel amazing. So I appreciate every single person. Today's podcast, then, I'm going to go straight into it. And it's 10 things that I learned about myself that helped me change my life. Now, quite simply, I wouldn't have achieved everything that I had right now if I hadn't have broke my hip from the army. And I always look at that as a pivotal moment that my life changed, simply because of what came after it. I found myself in a really fucking deep hole, and that's the truth. I was hiding it a lot. I was doing a lot of things, because I'm very driven by dopamine and focused on all sorts of different things all at once. I was doing a lot of things that were making me feel better, but they were short-lived hits. But also, from the outside, I was looking like I was enjoying my life and in control of my life. But the truth was, I wasn't. I was in a very shit place. I was very living for short moments of buzz. And that's ultimately what led me into drinking a lot and taking drugs and partying and doing extreme shit that I don't regret, because it made me who I am and made me realize the things I know now. But it led me down a path for quite some time that I wish I had snapped out of it sooner. But again, I hate to think that I wish on things, or I would have changed my past if I was to relive my life, because look, you are only in the position you are right now because of the things you've done in the past. And that's something I always keep close to my heart, because I'd hate to be the person that thinks that if life was different, I could have been different. I wouldn't have my children. I wouldn't have, the life I've got. I wouldn't have Sarah. I wouldn't have, you wouldn't have the things that you have in your life right now. But look, I felt like that everything was against me. The world was against me. I felt like I was very negative, but I thought it was people's negativity onto me. I knew I was a negative person, but I thought that it was from other people, and I couldn't quite grasp that it was me. And that's for me to look back now, it's quite a big thing to admit, because quite simply, when you're in this space of what's going on, and I was a victim, I was feeling like the whole world was against me. If somebody cut me up in a car, they were out to get me. But whereas it's ridiculous when you think about it. It's not what real life is. It's because of where my attention was, my energy was going, and I was becoming that person that was always feeling that way, like everything was against me. I remember so when I first started to, let's say, come out of this bad place. Bearing in mind, for the guys who have never heard this before or don't know, I was at a point in my life where I was so tight-chested and so anxious that I literally, the only safe place I could feel was on the floor. And I say this every time, and it gives me shivers every time I think about the time going back to that point. But I was in such a bad, anxious place. I was doing things to make me feel better, but weren't the right things to do. And I was constantly going around on a hamster wheel, if you want to call it that, but it was a fucking electric one that was on fire. And I was always doing things that made me feel better for a short period of time, but I had to live with the consequences, and I had to live with that feeling that my life wasn't going anywhere. So yeah, I was in a place where the floor was my only safe place. It's known scientifically as a thing like where you curl up and you want to be back in your mother's womb as such. But I couldn't get out of that feeling of just needing to do that all the time. And it was horrible when I look back. But, you know, when I started to come out of this sort of like hole, if you like, and started to see small progressions and then start to look at things, I used to walk Tesco's every day. It was like 3-4 minute walk down the road. I used to walk Tesco's. I used to sort of like nod at the security guard on the way in. And slowly over time, I didn't plan this, but slowly over time, I then started to speak to the security guard. I then started to tell him about my story, I guess, and then asked him if he had a job. He was like, yeah, you'd be great here, put an application in. I put an application in, the application got rejected, and then I asked and spoke to speak to the actual manager. The manager wouldn't come down most times when I went to ask. Eventually he came down, and he instantly liked me, but I could tell he was this big manager that didn't want to accept me. And, you know, he admits anyway, because I asked him this afterwards, I had tattoos and he just thought, you look rough, you look like you got tattoos. Very harsh thing to say, obviously, but, you know, I don't take things like that to heart. It's just that look that obviously a lot of people have, and or that people will give off that look, should I say. And it's as wrong as it is, it's how you come across to others. He said no, he wouldn't accept me in, but then I kept going down, asking, and eventually he said yes. Now, the reason I tell you that story is because when you want something so much and you keep working towards it, you will get, and you will overcome the problems you're going through, because you're opening new doorways. Now, I went into that team and literally hit the top of the team. I loved my job. I was very on security in Tesco's. It's quite boring if you let it be, but it's actually very interesting if you push it to be, because there's lots of things going on that you don't realize. So I become obsessed with that whole, like, you know, finding, you know, criminals, if you want to call them that, and people that are breaking the law, and people that are stealing things out of Tesco's or plotting things. I mean, there was some crazy things looking back, like really like big gang sort of things that happened, like all the way from London all the way, and they used to go down every Tesco. So it's quite fun at points. But look, here's the thing, and the reason I say this is I made a choice. I made a choice to break the pattern. And I want to tell you that because you have the choice of staying where you are now or changing and moving on to bigger, better things. But here's 10 things, and I'm going to try and rattle through these fast because I like to keep these quite short and I don't want it to be too long. So number one then is there's always someone worse off than you. So quite simply, it's something I tell myself all the time. When I broke my hip in the army, right, I was feeling very down, sorry for myself. I'd been kicked out of the army and different things were going on, right? But I sat in a bed where there was a guy next to me with both arms amputated. He was a double arm amputee. There was a guy over the road that had his leg chopped off. There was a guy who couldn't speak. There was all sorts going on. And the thing is, and this is what I try and always remember, in life, whenever you're suffering and going through bad times, there's always somebody worse off than you. Now, if you're thinking, why does that matter? Because that doesn't make my life better. It's a form of gratitude. And also reality, to remind you that you will make it and you will get through it. And also, I twin this thought with this, what I'm saying, that when you feel like you can't do something because of X, Y, Z, there is somebody with more reasons why they can't do something that will do it. So again, remember, whenever you think you can't do something because of a bunch of reasons, there's somebody with more reasons to not do it, but they still get through. And why is that? Because they wanted it more than you. Number two is your thoughts are not always true. So often we are programmed. We're programmed by our surroundings to think a certain way. I was very negative. I was always thinking everyone was against me. I was angry. I was a victim, all these things. But they're not necessarily always true. They're just my perception of how I felt at the time. And it really is a mind space. So when you remove yourself from that mind space and start to build and create a new way of thinking, your thoughts then become true of that. Now that also statement stays true here, because then those thoughts are not always true. But that's why it's important to work on them constantly and work on your life. But the idea is here is to put yourself in a position where you are in a place where you want to be, where you are happy to be, and where you are progressing to move your life forward. Number 3 then is to people that have you on, like, the people that love you. I've wrote it in a way that it's not very well read out, but people that love you don't always give you the best advice. And what I mean by here, right, is, you know, this takes me back to a very light-hearted version of this, but my mum once said to me that I was looking skinny. Now, little did she know I was going through a bodybuilding prep. Now, to be called skinny when you've done a bodybuilding bulk and then a cut is not the thing you want to be called, right? And she said, you need to start eating more food. Now, again, she doesn't mean what she said there, and that crushed me at the time. But the point is, what I'm trying to make here, she loves me, of course she loves me, but she's just saying what she sees, which doesn't mean that's right. I was actually in the best shape I'd ever been. I never went on stage as a bodybuilder, but the point is I was going through that process of that, thinking I was going to do that. But, you know, I'm sure you could think of something yourselves where you have been given advice by someone that loves you, but it's not the best advice, but you probably take it because you think, well, they love me and they wouldn't tell me the wrong advice. So the fact of the matter is that people that love you won't always give you the best advice. Turn to the people that have done the thing that you are working towards or have experience in that thing, and you will succeed a lot faster because you won't be emotionally driven by what people are saying, but you'll be factually driven by the people that have actually done that thing. The next one then is there is always a power in feeling low, which it's a period of growth. And it's really hard to see this often, because when you're struggling and going through something that's weighing you down, you go with that force, right? The idea is to go against it, push against it, figure out how you're going to get out that position and start to grow again. But when things are happening in a bad way, it is teaching you that you need to start to focus on something that is going to improve that, which ultimately is growth. So, you know, I don't want to make this too, you know, airy-fairy in the respects of this, but I'm a massive believer that we are put through tests in our life to grow. But if you see these points as failures and you see these points as too much pressure and overwhelm, then you won't be able to grow through them. And that really is the test. It's testing you to see if you can grow or not. So use that as growth periods as opposed to feeling like you're swallowed up. The next one then is wherever your eyes go, wherever your eyes look, your energy goes. So quite simply, where your eyes go is where your energy goes. If you are looking at bad things will be the program you've put in your mind. If you're looking at good things will be the program that's in your mind. And it really is as simple as the people that you are around. Like, we say this all the time, but quite simply, the people you are around are going to affect how you are mentally, physically, and, you know, everything you apply yourself to. Often when you're, let's say, feeling low, feeling shit and not in the place you want to be, being around people that are in a much better place than you, some people can feel quite bad from that because they can see the bits they don't have in their life. But if you apply yourself and you learn from these people around you, you will grow yourself towards where they are. Now, that doesn't mean you live their life. That doesn't mean you have the same aspirations of them, but it just means that you start to, you know, build your momentum towards living a better life that is going to increase you and, you know, increase your energy, increase your ability and your belief in yourself. But if you focus your energy onto bad things, then you will simply surround yourself with those people and start to do them same things. Number 6 then is the training is a power tool to build confidence. So quite simply, and I say this all the time, training saved my life in the respect of, if I didn't get obsessed and focused on training, I would have carried on probably taking drugs and drinking alcohol and whatever else. I use that as a relief mechanism, as a way to build my confidence. I'm very naturally strong in the gym, and I always used to train legs rather than chest and biceps like your typical young lad did. But because I train legs and deadlifts and things like that, I actually got a lot of eyes looking at me, which gave me that confidence, which was like, hold on a minute, I'm quite strong. And that's what led me into then, you know, taking sport more seriously. But it's one of those things that I want you to think that everybody can use training as a confidence building tool. And when you do that, you will start to feel like you are moving forward more than you was before, because There's so many people that are lost in the gym, don't know what to do, and they give it a half-hearted shot and then they never get anywhere. But when you strategize how you train in the gym, and it doesn't matter what you focus on, whether it be running, whether it be CrossFit, whether it be powerlifting, strongman, or whether it's just, I want to get in great shape, I want to lose a couple of stone, whatever it is. If you focus your time into that and you start to build confidence in that, you will build confidence in life. And it really does work as simple as that. It carries through into everything else that you do. The next one then is you don't need GCSEs to be successful. Now, it's a very, very obvious thing, but it's also not what we teach children, right? I have children, I'm obviously not going to tell them that. But the reason I say this is because I was a failure at school. I was told I was a failure. I was told that I never concentrated. I was told that I was always in trouble. I was never listening, all these different things. And that become my programming, and that become the person I become. And I remember the teachers telling me this. I can remember it like it was yesterday. These people are bad people. And I'm not going to back off from saying that. They are bad people. If you are telling somebody that they can't do something and they are useless and they won't get anywhere in life. I remember being told once that you won't ever be anything. And I'll always remember that because it fucking hits you hard and hits you deep. They shouldn't be teachers, in my opinion. But this is not a teacher rant. But the point is here, you don't need GCSEs to be successful. You need to focus on your energy, your passion, and drive your life forward and create the future that you want. It really is as simple as that. Now, that's not me telling you to not do your GCSEs, if anybody was listening to this that has not done their GCSEs yet. And it's also not about me telling you to tell your children that and everything else. However, if you understand that they are not the things that anchor you to success, then you are able to achieve success in many other ways that will progress you forward. And, I'm a massive fan of not being labeled by something. You need this to do this. You need this to do this. I mean, obviously there's certain qualifications you need to do, certain jobs. I get that. But the bottom line is you don't need to be a certain person or achieve a certain thing to be successful. Successful, remember, success is a feeling. Success is not an object or a thing, it's a feeling. So what success is to you is important to you, and you can be successful in whatever you do. Using criticism as a growth tool is powerful. So again, I was criticized quite a lot by things I did because I did things a little bit different to people, I guess. I was made to feel like I was doing the wrong thing. And also I get a lot of, I still get it now because it's something that drives me forward, but I get a lot of people that saying that you're unable to do what you're approaching or that you're saying you're going to do. And you know what? I love that because it feeds me to make me go, I will, because I will show you. One of them is that I said I was going to go to World's Strongest Man in my first year in Strongman, and I did. I came ninth. I came ninth in the under-90s, and it was something that I set as a goal, and many people laughed at it, and I did it because, quite simply, I was using that criticism as a driving force for me to move forward. Number 9 then is to look at vision is a way to pull you out of a hole. So when you vision something that is exciting, that pulls you in, that makes you want to do it, and that makes you want to think about what it's like to live that life, because it is a vision, right? We are visioning the future. If you think about that enough, it will pull you out of the hole that you're in right now. Quite simply, like if I was to ask you now, and it's a great exercise to do if you want to do it, but write down your perfect day. What would it look like? Now, if you wrote down your perfect day in a sort of half-hearted way, it might not be your perfect day because you're a bit scared of making it perfect. But if you then challenge yourself to rewrite it again and write your perfect day, then it would probably be quite scary to look at it. But what I want you to think about here is if you looked at your perfect day and it excited you that much, and you could vision that and you could really see yourself living like that, and that would be like the goal, the dream, then why should that not happen? Because if you vision things, it will pull you out of the place you're in. It will build your confidence. It will build your ability to achieve more and understand that it's in reach. You know, there's so many things in my life personally that I've set as goals before and never thought I'd be so far past them. You know, whether it be the way I train or financial goals, or, you know, once upon a time you set a goal and then next thing, like, that was easy and it was like, why did I even set that as a goal? They're all stepping stones. But the point is, when you vision this life and you vision this future and you vision this way you want to live, it will start to pull you in so much because it's exciting, and you'll start to live towards that life and make it true. And the last one then is, anyone is capable of anything that they make possible. Now, when I say that, like, you want to look at thinking about what you want to achieve in life and what it takes to get you from where you are now to where that is. And I'm such a big believer in, you should never limit anything. There's always ways you can get to somewhere. But on the note of that, like, don't compare yourself to others that are doing the thing that you want to do, because every single person is built differently. We've all had different programming, different lives, live in different positions and different support and whatever it may be. So when you look at what you want to achieve, anything is possible. You've just got to make sure that you are living on your journey. You're not comparing yourself to others, and you're really focused on that vision in the future and creating the steps to get to that position. And when you understand that anything is possible, it really does open out areas of your life that you never knew were there. You know, there's so many people. I mean, there's a funny one to think about. It's like, Weetabix are for breakfast, right? People think Weetabix are for breakfast. People think Frosties are for breakfast. Well, why can't you have that any other point of the day? You can have it whenever you want. They're not only for breakfast. But when you think about the way that people live their lives, a lot of people think, well, this is how this is. Well, actually, no. You can create it however you want. And that's a little bit like, you know, characteristics of people. This person's built for this, or this person's designed for that, or this is how they should live. You know, well, I have a dead-end job and I can't earn anymore because I haven't got any skills. Well, that is the mind that you are giving yourself. That is not the truth. If you want to build new skills and you want to go further in something, then the choice is yours. But again, it's about making that choice as opposed to living in that life of, well, this is how it is. It really isn't. And you are able to create anything that you want for your steps that are going forward. So look, they're the 10 areas that I want to help you to focus towards utilizing if they help you. And I share these things often because, quite simply, when you've grown and seen these things change in yourself, you realize how powerful they are. A lot of people don't realize how powerful things are sometimes when they haven't tried them, or they haven't gone through enough pain to realize they need to change. But the message I want to leave you with today is, just remember that you are able to make a choice that you want to make. And I had someone literally yesterday who was on our program in the 90 days that said he has changed his whole life and left his girlfriend because of the stuff that we went through. Now, just before I leave you on that bombshell, I don't tell people to leave their girlfriends, right? But the point is here is about shifting the values. And when you realize that you are living a life you don't want to live, and that there is more to life, things will come to the surface. And it really is about taking control of your life and being the better person for yourself and a happier person for yourself. Just for context, this guy who said this, he said he's now never been so happy. He's moved house. He's now on his own. He's working on things for himself, and he's actually started a business up as well, which is insane. And this is the thing again, where we're thinking about what we want to achieve is in front of us, but often noise gets in the way to stop you moving towards it. But look, I know it's been a deep podcast today, but I hope it's been of value for you. And as always, please share, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment below and let me know how this has hit you hard today. Have a great day.